just feels so tedious. What a disaster. It was just... Oh. Hello, welcome to the Sirdar Knitting Podcast, where I share with you all the clothes and things that I've been making. I have a lot to share with you today, but I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just jump straight into my finished objects. My first finished object is a pair of vanilla socks. I follow the pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady. As usual, the yarn that I used is Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the color Wildflower. The yarn is self-striping, as you can see. I did not do those color changes myself. It is 40% wool, 35% blue-faced Leicester, and 25% nylon. Is that right? So I went on a bit of an adventure here. So this is the first time that I tried using 9-inch circular needles, which was fantastic. I think that is my preferred way of knitting socks, even if I needed to switch needles for the heel and the toe. It was worth it, just because knitting the leg and the foot took no time at all. So after I finished these socks, I immediately cast on this pair of shorties, and I will talk about that later. But then I tried this on again after blocking them and found that my toe was too long, or there was just something wrong. The foot was too long, there was just too much fabric. So I needed to rip back, and then I knit it again. But anyway, long story short, the pattern says that for the toe you need to decrease every other row. Is it okay to say this? Yeah, it's in her YouTube video. So the pattern says that you need to decrease every other row until you reach a certain number of stitches, and then you decrease every row. But what I did was I decreased every other row until the end, and that's why there was like an extra bit of fabric. It was just wrong. So when I realized that, finally I just corrected it, and it turned out really well for this pattern. And I think in general you find, no, maybe I haven't knit enough socks to know if it's a general thing, but you close up the toe when you have about 8 stitches left. And then what I did though was to close up the toe when I had 12 stitches left. Was it 12 or 10? 12, because my feet are wider than it is longer. I think so. Anyway, it worked out. It looks nice and it's fine. Because of my knitting adventures, I'm thinking about taking Knitty Natty's Perfect Fit Socks course. Perfect Fit Socks course, so that I can figure out how many stitches I need for the leg and for the heel and all the things. But I think that requires doing a gauge swatch. I don't know what it is, that it's just like, I usually don't mind doing gauge swatches for clothes and things, but for socks it just feels so tedious, especially because like it's not a big object, it's not a big thing, and then doing that extra step of a gauge swatch just feels so onerous. But it could be necessary. I mean, it will be beneficial to learn it and understand it. I mean, I could learn it by reading articles and, you know, looking through free resources, but it's helpful that someone's already created, I think she has a spreadsheet or something that will calculate everything you need for it. And, you know, she as in Natalie of Knitty Natty creates value for consumers, and I am one of them. I don't know why I had to say all of that, but the last thing to say about these socks is the cast on the cuff. Like, I thought I had figured it out, that, you know, it was stretchy enough, but it is not stretchy enough. I don't know, like it just gets stuck on my heel, and it's not big enough, I think, for my leg, because I think I've said before that my ankles are a lot smaller than my leg and whatever. But if I make the leg shorter, then it might not be a problem. The lazy way, but is it lazy? It's not lazy, maybe it's smart. Whatever. I normally scrunch these socks down anyway because I don't actually wear boots very often. And when I do wear boots, the socks are just so I don't know. I'm not cool enough for those kinds of style decisions. That said, with these shorties, I did a rolled hem. I don't have any problems with fit of the cuff. Rolled hems are the best. I have no issues about the tightness of my cast on or the cuff. So the way that I did these socks, so I had leftover yarn, and I clearly didn't know how much yarn I needed to make shorty socks, but I thought I'll just do it, see what happens. Famous last words. So the way I did this was I did a rolled hem, and then I went straight to the heel. I think this was about 6 rows. I followed a blog post about different kinds of hems for shorty socks, and I just followed the instructions there and used the normal vanilla sock pattern of the Crazy Sock Lady. So obviously I ran out of yarn here. So what I did was I used the same kind of yarn, so it's still West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, but on a different colorway. I don't actually mind it. These are shorty socks. I'll probably wear trainers with it or whatever, and nobody's gonna see it. Even I'm not gonna see it. I'm happy. So these 2 pairs of socks came from a 100-gram ball of yarn. And I think if I shorten the leg of the vanilla sock, then I would be able to make 2 pairs of socks with 100 grams, hopefully. I mean, I think so, why not? I suppose I could use a different color for the heel and toe, but if I don't want the faff, then I don't think I'll need to. My next finished object is a yarn cozy. This is a Nitty Natty pattern. It's a great way to use up scraps. I don't have a big enough ball of yarn to fit into this sized cozy. These are leftover sock. This is a leftover sock yarn I had. And this is the bottom. It looks really funny. Maybe I didn't do this bit right. It's a great way to use up scraps. I haven't needed it yet because I haven't had to wind up any of my hanks. I knit this for the cozy along that Natalie held in May. The yarn that I used is leftover sock yarn from a pair of socks that I haven't yet had the chance to talk about here because it was a secret test knit and I couldn't share what that was about. So I test knit the In Bloom socks pattern by Joey of Winter's Weather Knit. They're so stinking cute. I love them so much. I'm going to make another pair, I think, and my mom and sister have requested me to make pairs for them too. This pair of socks is my first attempt at color work, and all I can say is stretchiness is key. So going back to this yarn, this is hand-dyed yarn. I purchased this on Etsy from an indie hand dyer, a local indie hand dyer who was closing shop, unfortunately. And she had yarns on sale, so I bought it from her. My last finished object is the Kuutar top, a pattern written by Sari Nordland. Here it is. Don't mind that it's so crumpled. Isn't she gorgeous? Look at this detail. Lace is beautiful, isn't it? The pattern is bell-shaped, really, so it's meant to I don't know, flare out at the end, but then if you watch my previous episodes, then you know that I knit a size that's a bit too big, so I decided not to do any of the increases and I just knit this straight down. It's really interesting because there are a lot of techniques here that are new to me. So for instance, I had to do an I-cord cast on, and it's all right, but I think I just need to work on it. I don't know why I have all these little holes. I'm sure it's a me problem and not a pattern problem. The other technique that I really like is the hem at the end. I really like how this hem looks, so I may use this technique when I lengthen this toasted tee that I'm wearing. So I'm not sure you can see it, but then I have some rowing out issues. So the front and back are knit flat, and then you can kind of see some rowing, so you can kind of see where I knit, which rows I knit and which rows I purled in the stockinette sections. But I kind of don't mind, and you'll also see that the stockinette is pretty uneven. But again, I don't really mind, like from a distance. You shouldn't, I don't know, from a distance you don't really notice it. I mean, and also who cares? I made this. I made this and I'm proud of it and I'm wearing it. The lace chart was a lot harder than like the Moby mini sweater, which looks complicated, but actually this was a lot harder because it was not memorizable. Like I really needed to have the chart in front of me while I knit all the rows. But it doesn't matter because it's worth it because it's beautiful. I also love how drapey fingering weight cotton fabric is. Like it's a lot softer than, let's say this, which is the same yarn, but it's two strands of yarn held together. Because the fabric is thicker, it just doesn't move as nicely as fingering weight does. So this might be my new standard for summer wear. I might just always, I suppose, never say never and never say always, but I think I prefer fingering weight fabric, particularly for summer wear. The other thing that I did differently from the pattern is to shorten the straps of this. So because I knit a larger size, I didn't want the armholes to be too low on me, so I decided to just shorten the straps and it worked out. It's really nice. One thing to note is you do a provisional cast on for the lace section, the front and the back. And I used leftover yarn from the socks that I showed you earlier, and that was a bad idea because those socks were made of wool. Removing a provisional cast on made of wool that's attached to cotton yarn is not fun. It was a pain to do, so I do not recommend that. So when I bound off the hem, I used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. So I think the pattern just says use a stretchy bind off. I thought maybe using larger needles would be enough, but then actually it turned out a bit tight over my shoulder. So I decided to do like a proper stretchy bind off. So I used that one and it fits really nicely. I still have to figure out my bra situation with this. I only have one strapless bra and it's the bra that I used at my wedding. So that was a couple sizes ago, I think now. And I might just have to use like bra extenders instead of buying a new strapless bra for one thing that I would use it for. So normally I wouldn't mind showing off a bit of bra strap and a camisole, but this kind of fits closer to my neck than the bra strap, so it's not very nice to look at. And I also sometimes would just use those sticker nipple things. But then because this fabric is quite loose, or I don't know, because it's knit fabric, I don't know, it just doesn't work for this kind of top. So I'll need bra extenders. So now that this is finished, I still have quite a bit of this colored yarn left over, and I think I'm going to finish off this Tolsta tee. So this Tolsta tee is really cropped. I think it was just because I was lazy to keep knitting the stripes, but that was just not a good idea because, like, who was I kidding making a super cropped shirt? So my plan was to wear this on top of dresses, but then the dresses that I wear now are more of like the flowy sort of dress, and when I do wear this on top, then it kind of follows the flowiness of the dress and it gives me zero shape. Like, it just doesn't look good on me. So what I normally do now is I wear a big t-shirt and I tie it up and then kind of create a waist. But yeah, so this did not serve, the Tolsta tee did not serve its purpose. I was hoping to wear maybe high-waisted jeans and a cropped shirt. Like, I am too old for that now, or my body just isn't for that anymore. I am learning more and more about my postpartum body, and this is one of those lessons. Crop tops aren't for you today, maybe in a few months' time, but anyway, I would like to use my Tolsta tee, and so I will just lengthen it. I think I'll also lengthen the arms, the sleeves, not my arms, the sleeves to about here maybe. So maybe 2 or 3 more, 2.5 stripes or 1.5 stripes. I might also do a folded hem like in the Kuutar top for this Tolsta tee, but we'll see how it goes. Those are all my finished objects. I will now move on to my works in progress. My first work in progress is the Marysia cardigan, a pattern written by Vert and Rose. Alright, let me just start off with the yarn because the yarn is beautiful. So this is the Sirdar Cashmere Merino Silk DK in the colorway Lilac Blossom. It is approximately 116 meters per 50 grams. The composition is 75% extra fine merino wool, 20% silk, and 5% cashmere. It is a dream. It's so super soft. It wasn't even that expensive. I got this from Wool Warehouse in the UK, and it's not expensive at all. And it's so nice and soft, and just I love it. I love this yarn. So the yarn isn't as tightly wound as other yarns, I suppose. So the needles kind of slip through the different strands. It's an annoyance, but it's not a big problem. The pattern is beautiful. It's the way she does the raglans is a kind of different way to do make one left and make one right. It's yarn overs and then twisting the yarn a certain way. The color is gorgeous. I cannot wait to finish this and wear it this season. Oh, is that gonna be summer? But it doesn't matter. Summer in Scotland is still cardigan weather. Who am I kidding? So it's currently on the blocking mats because I spilled coffee on it. Like, oh my God. I spilled coffee on the project that was sitting on my lap, and it spilled all over me and my clothes and my poor thighs and the chair and the carpet. What a disaster. It was just, oh. But so I just panic dumped it into water and a bit of wool wash. And the coffee stains are out. Everything is fine. But I didn't think to remove my needles. Like, I didn't think much. I just literally panic dunked it in the water to make sure that to get the coffee all off of it. And my needles broke. The thing that attaches to the actual cord came off. It must be the glue. It must be, maybe my water was a little too hot and so the glue kind of melted and it's come off. So it's goodbye needles, but as my best friend said, it's a perfect excuse to buy a new pair. Maybe I'll try some fixed circular needles. Maybe, I don't know. The needles that I was using was too short for the current size of it now anyway, so I actually I needed to have changed the length of the cord anyway. But yes, but the coffee's gone and that's all that matters. So now I just needed to put it back, put the project back on the needles. The cardigan is dry. I just haven't had the chance to kind of pick up all the stitches because I'm sure I've dropped some, and I actually hope I'm not on like a cable on a row where I needed to do cables. Like, I don't know. I'm not facing that dragon just yet. But it is there and it will be done. It will be done and I will be able to wear it very soon. My next work in progress are these Oona socks. How beautiful are these? So this is a pattern from the 52 Weeks of Socks book, the first one. Oh, it's so cute. Like if I had Mary Jane's, I would wear it. I am really not that cool anymore. So I'm gonna stick it on here so you can see the lace a bit better. Let's talk about the yarn. This is the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the color Candy Floss. You may remember that I used it to finish off this little shorty here. It's the same yarn. It is 75% wool and 25% nylon. It is 400 meters per 100 gram ball. This is the Oona socks. I forget the name of the designer, but I'll write her name down in the description. What am I trying to say here? One of the modifications that I've made, that's the word. One of the modifications that I made was that I shortened the leg to half its size. So even the cuff. So if the cuff said something like 10 rows, I made it 5 rows. And then if the leg said something like 10 repeats, I only did 5 repeats. I don't actually remember the numbers anymore. And this is the heel. The heel is so interesting, the pattern. Don't know how much I'm allowed to share because it's a paid for pattern. It's super cute the way it's done. Why is this so hard? All I can say is it's super cute. Really, I can say something about the construction. So normally in a slip stitch heel flap, you slip every other stitch and then you slip the same stitch in the column. So what she does here is that you slip every other stitch, but then in the second row, you knit that stitch and then slip the stitch after. I hope that that's clear enough. Maybe it's vague enough so that I'm not violating her, what is it called? I'm a lawyer, I should know this. Copyright rights, but surely I can say something like that. Please let me know if that's wrong and I will remove it. The cast on for this sock is a German twisted cast on. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, it was a new technique to me, which I really appreciated, and I love learning new things. I followed Nimble Needles' tutorial for it, and he says actually you could just simply use the backward loops cast on and it would be the same result, and mind blown. But I wanted to learn the German twisted cast on anyway to see how it's done. And it's not, I don't really mind. Oh, but he also says that the backward loop cast on would only work if you used a needle size that was bigger than whatever this is, but I don't have a bigger needle size. Like I only have this and this. I'm actually not sure anymore what I have, but I have one more of this Chowgu one. I actually have a few more acquisitions to share with you, but I have now run out of time. So I will end the podcast there and I will share my acquisitions in the next one. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!